Have you ever wondered why our muscles grow larger and stronger with weight training? It's a fascinating process that involves more than just lifting heavy weights. It's the science of muscle hypertrophy, a term that may sound complex, but it's simply the process of muscle growth. Let's dive into the science behind it, shall we? Every time you lift weights, you're actually creating microscopic damage to your muscle fibers. This might sound alarming, but it's an essential part of muscle growth. It's like a controlled demolition, breaking down to build up stronger. When you do resistance training, your muscle fibers experience stress, leading to microscopic tears. This is not the kind of damage that causes injury. Rather, it's a beneficial process that triggers your body's natural repair response. Your body rushes to repair these micro tears, and in doing so, it overcompensates, resulting in muscle fibers that are larger and stronger than before. This process is not just about muscle fibers alone, it also involves satellite cells, which are kind of like your body's own repair crew. These cells flock to the damaged muscle fibers and fuse to them, aiding in the repair and growth process. And let's not forget about hormones. They play a crucial role in muscle hypertrophy too. Growth hormone and testosterone, for instance, help promote the growth of muscle tissue. They also aid in the repair process by reducing protein breakdown and increasing protein synthesis, which is the process your body uses to build new proteins, the building blocks of muscle tissue. So muscle hypertrophy is not just about lifting weights. It's a complex process involving muscle fiber damage, repair and growth, aided by satellite cells and hormones. It's a testament to the amazing adaptability of our bodies. Understanding this process can help us train more effectively, maximizing our gains and reducing the risk of injury. So now that we understand the science, let's delve into how we can effectively stimulate muscle hypertrophy. The first step towards muscle hypertrophy is understanding the principle of progressive overload. So what exactly is this principle? In simple terms, progressive overload is the gradual increase of stress placed upon the body during physical exercise. Imagine you're lifting a weight that you're comfortable with. You're able to do a certain number of repetitions, let's say 10, without too much strain. That's your baseline. Now, if you continue to lift this same weight for the same number of repetitions every time you work out, your muscles will adapt to this level of stress. They'll become efficient at lifting that weight for that number of repetitions, but they won't grow. They won't need to. This is where progressive overload comes into play. To stimulate muscle growth, you need to gradually increase the stress your muscles experience during your workouts. This can be achieved in a number of ways. One of the most common methods is by increasing the weight you're lifting. Using our earlier example, instead of lifting the same weight for 10 repetitions, you might increase the weight slightly. This increase forces your muscles to work harder, stimulating growth. But increasing weight isn't the only way to achieve progressive overload. You can also increase the number of repetitions. So instead of doing 10 repetitions with a certain weight, you might do 11 or 12. Again, this forces your muscles to work harder than they're used to, promoting growth. Another way to achieve progressive overload is by increasing the frequency of your workouts. If you're used to working out 3 times a week, you might increase this to 4 times. This additional workout puts extra stress on your muscles, prompting them to grow. Now, it's important to remember that progressive overload should be gradual. You don't want to increase the weight too much too quickly, or you risk injury. The same goes for increasing repetitions or training frequency. It's a delicate balance, but when done correctly, progressive overload is the key to stimulating muscle growth. Remember, progressive overload is the key to stimulating muscle growth. Without the right fuel, your body simply can't build bigger muscles. This is a truth that we cannot escape. Nutrition plays a pivotal role in muscle hypertrophy, the process of growing your muscles. It's the foundation that supports your training and recovery, acting as the building blocks for muscle growth. Think of your body as a high-performance sports car. To function at its best, it needs the right type of fuel. In the context of muscle hypertrophy, that fuel comes in the form of a well-balanced, nutrient-rich diet. Protein is the superstar of muscle growth. It's like the premium unleaded fuel for your high-performance car. Why? Because proteins are made of amino acids, the essential building blocks your body uses to repair and grow muscle tissue. Consuming enough protein is crucial, especially after a workout when your muscles are ripe for repair and growth. But let's not forget about carbohydrates and fats. Carbohydrates are your body's primary energy source, fueling your workouts and aiding in recovery. They're the spark that ignites the engine. Fats, on the other hand, play a key role in hormone production, including testosterone, a vital player in muscle growth. Maintaining a balanced diet is not just about what you eat, but also when you eat. Regular meals and snacks can help keep your body in a state of anabolism, where it's building and repairing tissue, rather than catabolism, where it's breaking down tissue. And let's not forget hydration. Water is essential for nearly every bodily function, including transporting nutrients to your muscles. So keep that water bottle close at hand. In the end, it's not just about lifting weights and pushing your body, it's about fueling your body with the right nutrients to support that growth. It's about understanding that nutrition is a key player in the game of muscle hypertrophy, standing shoulder to shoulder with your training regimen. Remember, fueling your body correctly is just as important as your training regimen. It's a partnership that, when balanced correctly, can lead to impressive muscle growth and an overall healthier you. Scene script. Rest and recovery are often overlooked, but they're crucial for muscle hypertrophy. Imagine for a moment that you're building a house. The construction workers represent your workouts, the bricks represent the nutrients you consume, and the house itself represents your muscles. Now, imagine if those construction workers were made to work non-stop, without breaks, without time to rest. The house wouldn't turn out as well as you'd like, would it? The same principle applies to your muscles. When you work out, you're essentially breaking down your muscle fibers. This process is called muscle protein breakdown. It's a necessary step in muscle growth, but it's only half the picture. The other half is muscle protein synthesis, the process where your body repairs and rebuilds those broken down muscle fibers. Here's where rest and recovery come into play. Without adequate rest, your body can't effectively carry out muscle protein synthesis. Think of it as giving the construction workers time to lay down the bricks properly. Without this time, the house, or in our case the muscle, can't be built properly. So how much rest do you need? Well, it varies from person to person, and it depends on the intensity of your workouts. But a good rule of thumb is to give each muscle group at least 48 hours of rest before working them out again. Sleep is also a vital part of rest and recovery. It's during sleep that our bodies produce the most growth hormone, a key player in muscle protein synthesis. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night for optimal muscle recovery. Keep in mind that rest and recovery aren't just about avoiding the gym. It's also about taking care of your body outside the gym. This includes staying hydrated, eating a balanced diet, and managing stress. Remember, your muscles don't grow during your workouts. They grow during the periods of rest and recovery between your workouts. So don't skimp on rest days. They're just as important as your training days. Give your muscles the time they need to rest and grow. Consistency in training is a key factor in muscle hypertrophy. Picture this: you've decided to learn a new language. You study intensely for a week, then skip a few days, then pick it up again for a couple of days, and so on. Will you become fluent in that language? Unlikely. The same principle applies to muscle growth. Consistency is the foundation upon which all successful training regimens are built. Consistency in your workouts is not about being perfect. It's not about hitting the gym 7 days a week or never missing a single session. Instead, it's about establishing a routine and sticking to it. It's about making a commitment to yourself and your goals and honoring that commitment as best you can, day in and day out. Here's why consistency matters so much. Your muscles grow in response to the stress of resistance training. Each time you work out, you're breaking down your muscle fibers. Your body then repairs and rebuilds these fibers, making them larger and stronger. But this process takes time. If you're not working out consistently, you're not giving your body the regular stimulus it needs to grow. Inconsistency, on the other hand, can lead to suboptimal results. Sporadic workouts can make it harder for your muscles to adapt to the stress of resistance training. This can slow down your progress and make it more difficult for you to reach your muscle growth goals. In fact, inconsistency can even lead to muscle loss, as your body starts to break down muscle tissue when it's not being regularly used. In conclusion, consistency in training is key to muscle hypertrophy. It's the cornerstone of any successful training program. It's what separates those who achieve their muscle growth goals from those who don't. So, whether you're just starting out on your muscle growth journey or you're an experienced lifter, remember this: consistency is not about perfection, it's about commitment. It's about showing up for yourself day after day and doing the work. Consistency is the secret sauce to achieving your muscle growth goals. Scene script. Let's debunk some common myths about muscle hypertrophy. Now, the world of fitness is rife with misconceptions and myths. Let's dive into some of the most common ones surrounding muscle hypertrophy. First up, there's this prevalent idea that lifting heavy weights is the only way to stimulate muscle growth. Let's clear the air here. While lifting heavy weights does indeed stimulate muscle growth, it's not the only way to achieve hypertrophy. Lighter weights lifted for more repetitions can also effectively stimulate muscle growth. The key lies in reaching muscle fatigue, regardless of the weight being lifted. Another myth that's been doing the rounds is the belief that you can target fat loss in specific areas. I hate to burst your bubble, but spot reduction of fat is a myth. When you lose fat, it occurs throughout your body, not in one specific area. So, doing 1,000 crunches won't necessarily burn the fat in your abdomen. Instead, a combination of resistance training, cardiovascular exercise, and a well-balanced diet will help you lose fat overall. Then there's the myth that more protein equals more muscle. While protein is indeed essential for muscle growth, consuming it in excess won't necessarily lead to greater muscle gains. Your body can only utilize a certain amount of protein at a time. The rest? Well, it's either stored as fat or excreted. So, balance is key. And finally, let's tackle the idea that muscle turns into fat when you stop exercising. This is a classic misconception. Muscle and fat are two distinct types of tissues. Muscle cannot turn into fat and vice versa. When you stop exercising, your muscles may shrink due to lack of use, and you may gain fat if you continue to consume more calories than your body needs. But one does not transform into the other. Knowledge is power, and debunking these myths can help you train more effectively. So remember, always seek out reliable information, question the myths, and keep your training grounded in science. Scene script. Ready to get started? Here are some tips to help you on your muscle hypertrophy journey. First and foremost, start with a solid strength training routine. Building muscle isn't just about lifting heavy weights, it's about challenging your body and pushing it to its limits. Start with a routine that incorporates a variety of strength training exercises. This will ensure that you're working all of your muscle groups and not just focusing on one area. Next, focus on compound movements. These are exercises that engage multiple muscle groups at once, such as squats, deadlifts, and bench presses. Compound movements are great for building muscle because they allow you to lift heavier weights and work more muscles at the same time. Plus, they mimic real-world movements, making them not only functional but also effective. Remember, quality over quantity. It's not about how much weight you can lift, but how well you can lift it. Make sure you're using proper form and technique. This will not only help prevent injuries, but also ensure that you're getting the most out of each rep. Don't forget to listen to your body. Rest is a crucial part of muscle growth. Your muscles need time to repair and grow after a strenuous workout. If you're feeling sore or fatigued, take a day off. Overtraining can lead to injuries and hinder your progress. Finally, be consistent. Muscle growth doesn't happen overnight. It takes time and dedication. Make a training schedule and stick to it. Consistency is key when it comes to muscle hypertrophy. Remember to balance your workouts with a healthy diet. Proper nutrition is just as important as exercise when it comes to building muscle. Be sure to consume enough protein and carbohydrates to fuel your workouts and aid in muscle recovery. Don't be discouraged if you don't see immediate results. Building muscle takes time and patience. Keep pushing yourself, stay dedicated, and the results will come. With these tips in mind, you're well on your way to effective muscle hypertrophy training. So, let's recap what we've learned about training for muscle hypertrophy. We started our journey by diving into the science behind muscle hypertrophy. We discovered that the process of muscle growth involves the breakdown and building up of muscle fibers, a process stimulated by resistance training. This biological mechanism allows our bodies to adapt, grow stronger and more muscular. Next, we discussed the crucial concept of progressive overload. This principle suggests that for muscles to grow, they must be continually challenged with increasing levels of stress. Whether it's lifting heavier weights, increasing repetitions, or reducing rest periods, the key is to keep pushing beyond your comfort zone. We then turned our attention to the role of nutrition. We learned that feeding your body with the right nutrients is just as important as the workout itself. A balanced diet rich in protein, complex carbohydrates, and healthy fats provides the fuel and building blocks needed for muscle growth and recovery. Speaking of recovery, we explored its significance in muscle hypertrophy. Rest and recovery allow our bodies to repair the microscopic damages caused during workouts leading to muscle growth. So remember, it's not just about how hard you train, but also how well you rest. We also emphasize the importance of consistency. Consistent training, consistent nutrition, and consistent rest form the holy trinity of muscle hypertrophy. It's not about perfecting a single workout, it's about showing up, day in, day out. Next, we debunked common myths about muscle hypertrophy. We dispelled misconceptions, such as the idea that lifting heavy weights is the only way to gain muscle, and that more training always equals more muscle growth. Lastly, we shared some valuable training tips. We learned the value of a well-rounded training program that includes compound exercises, isolation movements, and a variety of rep ranges. Remember, muscle hypertrophy is a journey, not a destination. Happy training?